Hello, hello, hello. Welcome everyone to Chess Classics You Must Know episode 28. This is Sagar Shah and welcoming you to one of my favorite series on Chess Base India. It's the Learn from Classics, where I show you games which are very well known in the history of chess, and I'll be selecting 10 moments from it, 10 key moments where you have to guess. And I usually prefer to do it in the morning time, like today at 8:30, so that we have people who are really interested, who give the right answers, and who try their best basically. So very warm welcome to everyone in the chat, and I hope that we'll have a great time. Any guesses on whose game we are going to see today? Let me know in the comments who you think is the game going to be with. Hello everyone. And also guys, what I would recommend, few of you who are very serious can get a chessboard on their side if you are watching it now or even later, and play through the moves, and whenever I ask you to think, try to pause and try to think and write down your moves in a book, or right now you can write it in the chat. Okay. By the way, these are classics, so it cannot be a very recent game from Tata Steel. These are old games from great players which you should know. Um, well, Tal is what you're saying. No, it's not Tal, not Alekhine. Yes, this is Neha. You are right. This is Neha. You are absolutely right. This is a game of Anatoly Karpov that we are going to see today, and I'm going to show you whose game it is. But I request you not to check it out on the internet or anything of that sort. Just give your best to answering these questions, and in that way we can have a lot of fun. Okay, so it's the game between Anatoly Karpov with the white pieces against Viktor Korchnoi, and this was played in 1974. So if you remember that in 1972, Bobby Fischer won the world championship title by beating Boris Spassky, and with that he got he was the world champion, and then in the next cycle you had to find a challenger for him, and this was the finals of the candidates basically. So the whoever won this would challenge Bobby Fischer for the title in 1975. So we had Karpov and we had Viktor Korchnoi. So shall we begin with the game? Well, it's not the world championship game. It is more like the candidates. Yeah. Okay. So let's begin. Let's get it rolling. I'll start the timer, and we will be able to get it there. Okay. So with the white pieces, Anatoly Karpov opens the game with 1e4. There we go. Yeah. And Korchnoi, who's a big fighter, decided to respond with c5, the Sicilian defense. Karpov goes knight to f3, d6, d4, c takes d4, knight takes d4, knight f6. This is known as the open Sicilian, by the way. When I play d4 and you take and I take back, this is the open Sicilian. Knight f6, knight c3, and now the move that was played was g6. What is the name of this opening, guys? Do you know what is the name of this opening called? Yes, absolutely right. Amay Kanetkar, Aryan Nair, Rudranshu Sen, Pratyush Bansal, Alfius Saju, Siddesh, Sagar Kale. Fantastic. You guys know the Sicilian dragon. This is known as the Sicilian dragon, and mainly it's this kind of a structure which is like the dragon. Okay, so here uh, Karpov plays bishop e3, which is the main line, and Korchnoi goes bishop to g7. Now, here's my first question. Actually, this is not the first question as such. It's just I have some questions which are not part of the main 10 questions. They are also just to ask you and test you. So my question is, generally when the bishop is here, you can attack it with knight g4. Why is this a blunder? Why is this a mistake? White to play. Can you find the winning move? Let's see how many of you are able to get these answers. Yes, let's see here. Yashad, Manannath, Nihira Kaul, Dhaval plays d4, chess walk. Yes, absolutely right. Uh, and here the move that is really good is bishop b5 check. And the main point is that if you play here, it looks like you have everything under control, but this bishop is pinned this way, and now you can take the knight. So you cannot take back the knight. And another point is that if you go knight c6, then I will take on c6, bc6, bishop c6 check, and I will win your rook. Okay, so that does not work. And otherwise, what else do you do? If you block with the knight, I will take your knight anyway. So that's the reason why knight g4 is a blunder. Bishop g7 is the correct move. And now white goes f3, stopping knight g4 plans. Black plays knight to c6, queen d2, and short castle. So here's your first question for today. What is the move that white should play in this position? Actually, it's opening theory, and it is not the, there are many moves here which are good, but I would just like your view on it. What would you play here? Yes, Peter Cavano says bishop b5 is a key theme in that position. True, it's also in my opening strap that I have made. What is the move that you would play in this position? Okay, let's see what are the moves that are being recommended here. Bishop c4, fantastic job by, and long castle also, I would give a full point to that. And just took out the Tata Steel one because the tournament is over. Yeah, so bishop c4. Well done, Yashad, Amay, Dhaval plays d4, Akshay Bhujbal, Pratyush, Manan, Siddesh, Rajkumar, Bhaskar, and FS Studio. Long castle is also correct, but bishop at 6. I don't like this move so much. The main reason is that when I go bishop to h6 here, the problem with it is that he will take, and then you lose a piece. And there is no mating attack. So while bishop at 6 is a very key idea in this position, but not now, later. And by the way, when white long castles in such positions, then black has a very common idea here in the opening, which is to play d5. And this is an opening theory, and we have seen many games played on this. So that's the reason why if you were to put your bishop on c4, it stops d5. By the way, bishop c4 has a variation named after it. Does anyone know what it's called? Yes, GP says I think g4 is also a move used by Dolmatov in the past. For sure, g4 is also a possible move there. Yes, Yugoslav attack it's called. Siddesh, Yashad, Amay Pradeep Kanetkar. Uh, well, Pratyush, you are right in a way that it's like Sozin, but when the bishop is on c4 against the Najdorf, it's called Sozin. But against the dragon setup, it's called the Yugoslav attack. Okay, so now he went for the move bishop d7. And here's your second question here. The main move here is long castle, but white did not play long castle. So what would you play here? So don't suggest long castle because that is the main move here. But I want you to understand how to play these structures. How do you play with white here? White to move. Okay, so what are the moves that are being suggested here? Absolutely right, guys. This is exactly what I was looking for. And h4 by Yashad, Manannath, Nihira Kaul, Priya Brata Sinha, Shivam Shah, Captain America, Bhaskar Jain, Rajkumar Reja, Pranjal, and Alpha Zero. Bishop b3, not a bad move. It's not at all bad, but short castle, I don't want to play short castle here, guys. I want to go long castle. And the main point is that here the dragon is considered a risky opening because there is a hook here. Why is the g6 pawn called a hook? Because I can go h4 and I'm going to open up the position with h5, and when the lines open up towards your king, it will become very dangerous because of opposite side castling. While meanwhile all of the white pawns are on their initial square, so there is no hook there, so it's very difficult to open lines. So I would give a full point to bishop b3, which is a very logical move, but it's not like the best. The best is of course long castle and h4. I think even g4 not a bad idea in such positions, can be playable, but h4 clearly very nice. Okay, moving on here. Oops. So moving on now, h4, he went rook to c8. Okay, and I want to just acquaint you with a very typical exchange sacrifice in such positions. I will let you know in a bit. But rook c8 is a very common idea. By the way, Aristotle Descartes says morning chess is love. Thank you so much, Aristotle. He goes bishop b3 here. Now here's my question to you, and this is not for points, like not the main. Why is h5 a huge blunder? What do you think? If you can write the line, that would be very nice here. Black to play. Why is this a blunder? Because you just want to start your attack as quickly. You know, Bobby Fischer used to say in the Dragon, just move your h pawn down the board, open the h file, sack, and mate. That's what he used to say, and that's why he didn't like the Dragon from black. Yes, Asim Khan, you're right. LPDO, that is very true. Yes, Amay Pradeep Kanetkar has a good question. He says, and Dragon, you have the hook on g6. You said it's risky, but the same hook in Catalan on g3. Why is it not considered? Why is it considered a solid opening? Because generally, you are white, you can take more freedom. And on the other hand, it's very difficult for black to kind of long castle and play h5, h4. There are some lines in the Catalan where you may be able to do that if you play very riskily as black, but generally being white has that added advantage, you know, as of the first move. Ritikesh Badkar, you have got it right. The main idea here, and whoever said this, is if I take with the bishop, this is just a free piece, so I would take with the queen, and now is a very nice move actually. Otherwise, and everyone wants to take on h5, but here's a better move. Try to think, when you see a good move, try to think of a better move. Yes, Rajkumar Reja, very good. Bhaskar Jain, you play e5, then I'll just drop my queen back to d3. That doesn't help. Sarvajayan, Manan Nath, Deeban Kumar, Nihira Kaul, Indumati, Goblet Fire, Amitesh Sinha. Very good. Knight g4. You attack the queen, and now the queen has to move, but where? The queen is actually overloaded. It has to protect this, it has to protect this. भाई इतना सारा लोग का ध्यान नहीं रख सकते. It's very difficult. And now after take, rook takes, black wins a piece. Right. So very simple move. Bishop b3 was played here. Knight e5 was played in this position. By the way, later black players said it's very dangerous to allow white to get in the move h5. So we will play h5, and this started becoming one of the main lines later on. But knight e5, very normal move. You open up the rook. You are also ready to jump on c4 with your knight. Now, he went long castle. That is a very standard move. And here, black played knight c4. And now, which bishop would you like to give? Would you like to take here on c4? Or would you like to move your queen and give up this bishop on e3? Which bishop would you like to give? Would you like to give up this bishop, or would you like to give this one? Indumati says take on c4. Satvik says queen e2. Nihira Kaul says take on c4. I will keep the dark square bishop, says Advai. Very good. Yes, it's very important to keep the dark squared bishop in the position, guys. Imagine you play queen e2. Then after knight e3 and queen e3, this position, I would say, is strategically very, very much better for black. The main reason is that now this bishop is unopposed, and majorly it turns into a brilliant defensive piece as well. You can never checkmate the black king now if you can't exchange this bishop. So you really need it for your attack. You want to play bishop h6 at some point. So that's the reason why you take on c4, rook c4. And now for your third point today, what do you play in this position? Guys, be quick. Try to figure out what is the move here. Try to take your don't blunder something, because I know that some of you are going to blunder something very badly. See, so many of you are blundering. This is what I was waiting for, that you guys will blunder. Be cool, be calm, and try to figure out what to do here. Okay, let me see what are the moves that are being recommended here. Bishop h6. Man, bishop h6 is such a horrible move. Such a horrible move. Why is this a horrible move? Come on. Why is this a horrible move? Come on. Yeah, it's a big blunder. No one could find. Yeah, Mithun Raj, Master Chess. Prat has got talent. Yeah, you just simply lose. Rook d4, exactly correct. Mithun, Master, Prat, Deeban, Chess is Fun, Pratyush, Indumati, Shivam, and Alfeus. The main point is that after rook d4, you're losing the game. Your queen is attacked, you have to take, and bishop h6. Black wins. He gets the two pieces, plus, as we said, yeah, now his king is absolutely safe. So he has the bishop on the dark squared bishop. So that's the reason why not bishop h6. The other moves that have been suggested here are h5, g4, uh, b3 is not good. See, the main point is that you don't create weaknesses in front of your king. Even though b3 doesn't lose any material as of now, if I go back, this knight becomes a little soft and you really don't want to do that. So I would say g4 also would give a full point here, but I really like the move h5. It is a pawn sacrifice and it is so typical of the dragon that you give up a pawn in order to open up the h file. It's a very, very common idea, and I would give the full point to Rajkumar, Shivam, Nihira, Pranjal, Anil, Abhinav, Venkatraman, Sirian, Mithun, and Alpheus. So h5 gets you a full point here. h5 was played, and now black took the pawn. g4 was played in this position to attack the knight, and black went back. And here's your fourth question in this position. What would you play here as white? White to move. Try to figure out. So it's an important moment. What would you do here? Peter Cavanaugh says, when you're attacking on the king side, don't get distracted to play on the queen side. Yes, play on the side where you are stronger, and in opposite colored opposite side castling positions, time is of the essence. By giving up one pawn, you have opened up files. You want to checkmate your opponent. It's very important not to lose the tempo. So a lot of you want to play the move g5 to remove the knight from f6. It is quite possible to do that. And I'll see what are the moves that are recommended here by all of you. g5, correct. Bishop h6 is now a plausible idea because now the bishop is also defended by the rook. So rook d4 stuff may not work. We'll come to it in a bit. King b1, has anyone written king b1? I would have given a full point to that. It's theory and it's generally a very useful move to move your king away on the side from the c file, also to defend a2 in case the queen comes here and tries to attack. So king b1 was possible. Now the move that was played here was knight de2, and this move is guessed by Nihira Kaul, Peter Cavanaugh, Deeban Kumar, and Goblet Fire. It's amazing that white could find such a move. I mean, I don't know if at that point this was theory. In fact, when I look through the games, the first time it was played was in 1973. So there were some games which might have been played before this one, but the point of it, I'll try to explain to you why this is a very interesting move. Can you tell me if black has a tactical opportunity after bishop h6? Let's try to see if you guys can find any tactical opportunity here after bishop h6. Bishop h6 is also possible, but there are tactical opportunities. Yes, Sarva Jayan, Venkatraman, Satyamurthy, very good. Ritikesh Badkar, Nihira Kaul, Pranjal Kumar. Well, Alpheus, now if you take rook d4, then I have queen d4 and my bishop on h6 is guarded. So here the main point is knight e4. And you might think, okay, black is now winning, because if you take back in any way with the pawn or the knight, then rook d4 attacks the queen defended by the bishop. However, this is still theory, and there is this very famous game here, Garry Kasparov versus Yaron Piquet, and this is how it continues. The main point that white is trying to stress is that I'm going to take here and then I'm going to move my queen and I'm going to checkmate you. And one of the key elements is this knight, which defends the h7 point from f6. So you can't really just give it up. Say, for example, if you take here and ruin my structure, by the way, I can, if I take back, then maybe he will keep the bishop here with bishop f6 and maybe black is better. But I can start with bishop takes g7 and black king is going to get checkmated very soon because I'm going for the attack. So that's the reason why you really can't take on c3. So here there is a very typical move for black in this position. Can you find it? Black to play. A very typical idea in the dragon. आज budget है. Yes, casing. 1st of February is the budget day. We'll try to keep a track and then make some chess references with it. Yes, Arnob Datta, Siddesh, Manan Nath. Very good. Yes, knight f6, you may want to go back, but the problem with knight f6 is that after I take on g7, king g7, queen h6, king g8, comes a very typical move here which gives white the winning advantage, and this is just removing the defender from f6, which is to play knight d5 or even knight e4. Both moves win. I'm going to remove this and I'm going to pick up this pawn. Very typical idea. That's why in this position, the move that is very good and very right is rook takes c3, attacking the queen. And once you take here, now I will go back and now you will see that there is no. So even if you take and give me a check king g8 in this position, take and king h8 is important, yeah, here, which is quite an interesting point. King h8 and then it is possible to hold this. The reason why king g8 is bad is because after g5, knight h5, white wins with, yeah, g5, knight h5. Okay, always remember, knight comes here. It can't go anywhere else because otherwise it's a mate. g5, and now the main point here, yes, Nihira call, you are right, to take and to play rook h1, and you will see that black is not in time to take care of rook takes h5 here and a mate here. There's no way. But imagine in the same position, your king was on h8, and then if I go g5 takes, take rook h1 here, then I can simply slide my rook over, and after rook takes h5, rook g7, and black is completely fine. So this is a little point to remember. And also there's a very nice idea. I'm sorry, I'm going too deep into non-game, but these are typical ideas in the dragon which you are learning here. Let's imagine that you go king g8, I go g5, you go knight h5, I take on h5, take rook h1, and now you play queen c8. Very interesting move. I take on h5, now I want to checkmate you. So you say I go bishop f5, next move I'm going to cement my bishop there. So you take, and now white to play because black is doing very well. He's defended this. Everything looks good. So what is the point here? Because black seems to be now having a great position. Ooh, Alpheus Saju, well done. Mithun Raj, fantastic. Alpha Zero Depth. Ooh, Mitesh Borkhetaria, Tikeshwar Babu, Indumati, Chess Walk. Very nice. The move here, Pranjal Kumar, Satvik Gulakaram, being brilliant at chess, Nishchay, well done guys. G6, And the point is, now I'm going to checkmate you here. And after queen g6, what's the move? What's the move very quickly? It's such a beautiful attack actually. You sacrifice so many. And this is how it works in Dragon, right? Most of the times you have to just go all out. Yes, rook g5. Very good, guys. You pin the queen and you win it. And you have won the game. So we were actually looking at this position. But if you saw that after bishop h6, knight e4, queen e3, rook takes c3, and b takes c3, knight f6, one of the typical exchange sacrifices for black in the Dragon is rook takes c3. You know, when I was young, I was simply charmed by the Dragon. I used to play it so many times with black, and I had this favorite line. I'll show you. Here in the game, we saw rook c8, right? But I used to play queen a5 as black. Here, instead of rook c8, I would play queen a5. And then long castle, I would play rook f c8, the other rook. And I want to now, that same plan, yeah, knight d4, and this is loose piece on c4. So bishop b3, knight e5. And then people would play h5. I would take the pawn. They would go g4. I would go back. Typical idea, yeah. And then they would play bishop h6. And here, I would take, queen takes. And now, what does black do here? This is where you will realize how Karpov's move in the game was simply amazing. What should black play here? Yes, being brilliant at chess, it's kind of sidelined, but at that point, Chris Ward had written this book on Dragon, and he used to recommend this. And I used to play this, and I used to enjoy so much, sacrificing and stuff. Yes, Vilas Thakur, Nihira Kaul, Mithun Raj, Alpha Zero Depth, Sharon Time, Sayan Majumdar, Poonam K. Very nice. The move here, which all of you are suggesting and is the best, is rook c3. And this is a very typical sacrifice because we know that in order to checkmate, I need to get rid of this knight. And how do I get rid of it? By going knight d5. And if I can get rid of it, then even in the long term, in such positions, this is a very good position for black. Black is better here. In fact, one can even go to the extent to say that after bishop h6, rook h6, rook takes c3, even here after queen takes c3, I can go into this end game and I can play this, because now in such positions the knights and the minor pieces are doing really well and the rooks do not have open files. So it's a very typical exchange sacrifice in the Dragon. Black will go b5, a5, try to play on the queen side. Kunal Bhattacharya, please do write to chessbaseindia@gmail.com and I would respond back to you. So, okay. This is why in the game, when we went here, castles, knight c4, bishop c4, rook c4, h5, takes, g4, he went back. Karpov played here a tremendous move, which was knight d e2. And this is typical Karpovian move. He strengthens his knight on c3, and generally, what people used to say, that Karpov would stop his opponent's plan even before the opponent had thought of it. And here it's very similar, right? He's just defending his knight on c3 and making sure that in future there will be no rook takes c3 exchange sacrifice. And once he has secured his own knight and his own king's position, he will go all out for the attack against his opponent. Okay. Victor Korchnoi here said, I am playing queen a5. I want to get the other rook into the game. I also will attack you. Maybe if need be, I will sacrifice 2 times on c3 and I'll try to open up your king side. So now my fifth question here to you. What does white play in this position? Fifth question for today. Goblet Fire says, wasn't that said for Petrosian? I think when it comes to prophylaxis, somehow I feel Karpov was much more fine-tuned for modern prophylaxis in many ways. I mean, Petrosian is a legend, but somehow if you look at Karpov's games, it's much deeper prophylaxis. Sometimes you don't even understand his prophylaxis. Petrosian's prophylaxis, at least you get it. Okay, what are some of the moves that are being suggested? Let me see. Bishop h6, king b1, and knight d5. Okay, here are a few moves which let's go over them. Bishop h6, by the way, right move. All those who said this get a full point. Sharon Time, Alpha Zero, roll number 80, Status, Siddesh, Venkatraman, Tizia, Nihira, Shaunak, and Tanmay Dikshit. Now, why I kept this as one of the points is that this is a key element in order to eliminate this bishop. It's very important to play this in the dragon. So here you get a full point. Those who said the next move, which was king b1, I would also give a half a point here. Pretty good move, just improving, and it's a typical idea. But the only thing which I feel is that after rook f c8 and you play now bishop h6, because you need to eliminate that bishop to attack, black can drop back his bishop to h8 and you can no longer win the rook here. And perhaps it could be a small issue there. Those who said knight d5, I have my doubts about this move here instead of king b1. If you play knight d5, then this is hanging. And yes, you win e7, but after king h8, this pawn was way more critical and it is white who is in trouble. So you can't play knight d5 in this position. Okay, game went bishop to h6 here, and now he took. In fact, guys, many times black even gives up an exchange here for the sake of trying to keep his bishop, because then if I ever try to attack like this, you have your bishop to defend the position. But it is a little speculative, I would say. And after g5, knight h5, I think king b1, black doesn't have enough compensation here, although it could have been not a bad idea to try it. Okay, he took, and now rook f c8 is played. And here's your fifth point now. What do you do here? Think in Karpovian way. Okay, this is actually sixth point, not fifth. Sixth point in the position. What do you do in this position? Try to think. Being brilliant at chess, maybe after bishop f8, king f8, rook h7, knight h7, queen h6, bg7. I understand you won't go king g8, rook h1, right? But bishop g7 might be a good move, and queen h7. Then you can't mate me and your queen is a little bit offside there. Ooh, let's see what are the moves that are suggested here. g5, very common move, but the right move is the second one, and that is the Karpovian way. Pehle apna sab bachao, save yourself, everything, stop opponent's plans, then attack. It's like I'll give you a fighting reference. Suppose you are in a boxing match, okay, and you are boxing. You two ways, yeah. You can hit him, and he can also hit you, and it's like a fight, like who's faster and all of that. What Karpov does is he goes to the opponent and says, "Can you show me your hands?" And they're like, "Okay." They're like, and he takes a rope and he ties the hands, and then he says, "Now let's box." He's like, "What? But you tied my hands." Said, "Yeah, that's my style." And then he hits it, and he doesn't get hit back. So the move rook d3 here is something like that. He's like, you cannot sacrifice on c3 easily. I am saving my entire setup. My queen and rook are ready, and I'm ready to go g5 in the position, but not before you also get a chance to attack. So all those who said rook d3 get a full point. Venkatraman Satyamurthy, J.R. Ruban, Anurag Mishra, Comp, Tamal, Krutarth, Sandeep, Sam, Dipanjan, and Shravan. Okay. G5, let's just have a look at that move because it is a very typical idea here. But after knight h5, you will have to figure out how to continue the attack. And a very common way of trying to break through is rook takes h5 in such positions. But after gh5, rook h1, I don't think that you will be able to mate, because after queen e5, rook takes h5, queen g7, black has managed to hold everything together, and this is lost position for white. Here another move which I was trying to think and I just saw a line was king b1, but then bishop e6, and I just put rook h3, rook h2, which is not a good move, but just so for the understanding here. And what happens now is what we were talking about: take, 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 and you give a double exchange sack, and after queen a3, this is a great position here for black, and black is doing really well. Another possibility, by the way, was instead of king b1 here, knight d5, because I don't know if you guys thought of it. It's a bad move because c2 hangs with a check, but after king b1, now you need to be accurate. What does black play here in this position? Try to find black's move. Prakhar says, always a pleasure seeing Karpov games. Great. Figure out the best move for black here. Not an easy one, by the way. Try to think, because on the other hand, I'm checkmating you. You know? But everyone wants to take on b2. Venkatraman Satyamurthy, you're really very strong. Well done. That is the right move, what you have suggested, and you're the only one who's found. Shivam Shah also, well done. So the main point here is that if you play rook takes b2, then after king takes b2, the attack doesn't go through. In fact, you have one check only, and then after I drop back to a1, there is no way to continue, and in fact your side is going to get checkmated. White is winning. So the right move here is queen b5, and a very nice move, because I'm not only attacking b2, I'm also attacking e2. And after, let's say, knight e7 here or knight f6, I will go king h8. This is winning for black. And if you play knight f6, I take, and this is another typical idea to remember, because after take, because you took with the e pawn, now there is no longer a mate. The king runs away and is very safe on e7. So this is an important thing to remember. These are some of the motifs in the dragon, that black is sometimes self-sufficient to defense. He doesn't need to defend this point anymore. If you take, the route is opened up, so you can't checkmate me. Okay, so queen b5, and this is winning here for black. Okay, rook d3, classy move, Karpovian move. You're getting this feel, right? He attacks, he then defends his stuff, he attacks, he doesn't let his opponent run away with stuff. By the way, here bishop e6 was the best move in the position, and the game could have continued like g5, knight h5, knight f4, very important move here. And after you can't take because it's a mate. This time there's no e7 square to escape. So queen e5, I take rook h5, gh5, queen h5, queen g7, and somehow you can defend this way. But white is better here. So this could have been the best way. But Korchnoi was like, okay, Karpov, you want to play g5 and you want to attack me, right? Because then I play knight h5, you want to go knight f4 or knight g3, open up the h file. What I'll do is I'll play rook 4 c5, and I will stop you from going g5. So here's your 7th point for today. What does black do in this position? What does white do in this position? Because clearly he wants to break through. And now you know, by the way, guys, that knight d5 is not good, because rook c2 is a problem. Okay, rook h5 is also good, SSK2, but then queen g7. I mean, that's the same point. Yeah, there. See, think here, guys. Think. Sometimes your opponent doesn't want to give you something, but you have to take it from him. You have to take it. It's a beautiful, and I think many of you are getting the ideas correct, but the move order is very important. These are some of the key squares here with e5 ideas, g5 ideas, rook d5 ideas. Very good. I'm liking the fact that all of you are coming up with interesting suggestions. f4, g5, e5, rook d5, all very logical suggestions. The right move here is g5. Even though he's controlled that square, this is the correct move, and the right move is guessed by Saumabho, Shashank, Nihira, Tamal, Akshay, Shivam, Nikhil, and Mayuresh. The main move which you guys have all suggested is Rook d5. Very interesting move, because you are like, agar marega to mate. Here there is a mate. Very nice. But the problem is that you have no real threat as of now. Yes, you want to go g5, but g5 will be met with knight here. So black can go queen d8. Very nice defensive move with the idea of going to f8. And if you go here, I'll go knight h5. And somewhere, black is in time for defense. He's just in time. He's able to trade the queens. And so a very good suggestion, rook d5. But this queen d8, f8 is a good defensive idea there. Instead of rook d5, the other move which you suggested was f4. But then after bishop g4, you don't have g5 anymore in the position. So that also doesn't work. e5, very interesting, because if he plays d takes e5, you have now blocked this entire thing here, and I can even take here. You can't take back. It's a mate this side. However, e5 is met with rook e5, and you are still back to that point where you do not know what to do. The other move which some of you suggested is knight f4, which could get you a full point, which is the second best move in the position. But as always, Karpov was very worried about such counterplay things. But here somehow it doesn't work, because white now has a very good move. Can you find it? White to play. I mean, if I take on c3, then it gets complicated. Here there's a nice move. Abhiraj Ratna, you can then later on play through the game from the start. Yes, Surya Prakash, very good. Hiten Malvi, Aryan, Arnob Datta, Alpha Zero, Sayan Muzumdar, Shivam Shah, Syrian Bood, Swapnil Gupta, Wizard Time, fantastic. The move here is knight to d5. Very strong move, and you can't take because queen h7, and you're lost basically. Here, let's say I go back here, then knight e7 is very powerful, king h8 and knight c8, so you can't do that. If you go rook c5 trying to do this, then take this, and now check and mate. So knight d5 is a very good move. Yeah, and the main point is that if you don't do knight d5 and you play b takes c3, then after queen c3, black is in the game. It's not over. So coming back here, the right move and the full point is won by people who have written g5, fantastic move. And Korchnoi was like, Karpov, what are you doing? I had just stopped that move. How can you play g5? I am taking this now. And now is your turn again. Try to find this for the 8th point. What do you play in this position? Not easy, guys, not easy. But you all are champions now. You know how to attack in the dragon. So let's attack. Don't get tricked. Don't get tricked. Don't get tricked. It's a beautiful entire concept. It's like uh, you throw a bait, you get him to that side, and then you crush him. It's amazing. So let me see what are the answers that are given by all of you. Knight d5 and rook d5, two main moves here. Very interesting. One of them is correct, one of them is not correct. Knight d5, whoever said this, bad move because of rook d5. My knight on f6 is the key. I don't want to give it up. So here I cannot play knight d5. You cannot give up. You cannot let this knight live. So the right move here is rook d5. All those who said this, brilliant job, guys. Chess is fun. Alpheus Saju, Soma B. Parui, Rajendra Babu, Alpha Zero, Tanmay Dikshit, Mistadam, Comp TY, Prabnur. You see how knight d5 went down because many of you wrote rook d5 later. But just to tell you guys that the main reason why rook d5 in conjunction to g5 is so good is because when we were playing rook d5 here directly, we saw this defensive idea of queen d8 to f8, correct? But now with this entire concept that we are talking about, what I did was I first deflected your rook to g5 by the move, and then I played rook d5. Now you have no time for queen d8 because your rook on g5 is hanging. Okay. Karpov said, Korchnoi said, no big deal. I will take on d5. Yes, Yashmani Gupta, Prag versus Vishy was quite similar because they played the dragon. And generally, when someone plays the dragon, these themes do keep coming on and on. H file opens up, rook takes c3 by black, all of these things. Okay. He said, I'll take. Now the threat is to take on e7 and take here on c8, right? So black said, that is a problem. But the other problem is not really a problem. I won't say it now. Black said, let me just defend it. Korchnoi said, Karpov, you've given up an exchange. What's your plan now? So for your 9th point now, guys, what do you do in this position? Try to figure out. Okay. Guys, all those who have seen this game, don't say the move, yeah? Try to think. Yes, Aryan Goswami, you are right. It was a drag dwarf. It was not dragon. Pragnananda versus Anand. What about queen d8? Sarvagya Dvivedi. We will look at it. Sarvagya may be a good suggestion by you because you want to control the e7 pawn. Very tough move, guys. Very tough move. And actually, it's not at all easy. So, what are your suggestions here? Let me see. Knight takes f6 as predicted by me is the main move. Knight f4, which means you want to play knight ef4. Okay, let's have a look at both these suggestions and try to understand why the move that looks very obvious doesn't work. Knight f6, e takes f6, and we know that e takes f6 opens up the king's route to e7. So after queen h7, king f8, black is okay. In fact, black is doing really well in this position. He's close to winning. a2 is hanging, your attack is gone, queen is attacked. Okay, so you can't take on f6 here. The other move which you guys suggested was NE-f4, and I will give this a full point here because it's a very interesting move. And this is the move that is the right move. So full point to all those who said NE-f4, which was NE-f4, by the way, very important to write NEF4 because if you write just NF4, then maybe I would think, oh, do you want to play your other knight there? So I'm only going to read out names who said any f4, which is Tamal Ghosh, Prashant Tiwari, Hiten, 8KT, Comp, and Sushim Chaturvedi. Although there are many who said nf4 and had in mind कि वो ही knight खेलेंगे. I am not sure. Uh, the question that was asked here, and which was very nice question, was what happens if I go back queen d8 here. So now the difference is that I will take and I will take here king takes, and I will play the move knight f4 in this position. And my threat is to play knight d5, stopping king e7 and mating you. Okay. So if you play, by the way, bishop e6, then it can be taken. So you try and play bishop c6 in this position and try to figure out how should white win here. Very, very crazy move. Nice move here. The Chess Baser says, this is the live stream I was waiting for. Okay, find the move then, Chess Baser. Here, classy move. Knight takes g6 is good. Alpheus, very good move. Vedant N, Prabhnur Singh, bad boys. I mean, even the other move is winning, but I love this more. Nadim, Ayush Patel, fantastic. The move here is knight e6. Check. Forking the king and the queen, and you take, I check you, and look at these pawns, these stupid black pawns, they don't let the king go up. And it's a checkmate there. So knight e6 is such a good move. But if you were to take knight g6, also it wins, because now you don't go check and you don't do this thing because king e6, there is a square. But what you do is you take on g6 first, and now you threaten here a check, and this is winning. I mean, the attack goes through, but knight e6 is so pretty, right? You just win the queen. So queen d8, that's the reason why it doesn't work. Anyway, in the game, rook e8 was played, knight f4, and Korchnoi was like, okay, Karpov, you're a very confusing man. I don't understand your play at all. Because first of all, e7 is no longer hanging. When you take on f6, I take back. And then if you take on h7, my king runs away from here. Oh, I get it. You want your other knight to come to d5 and then control this square. So what I'll do is, I'll play bishop c6. And now, even if you take, and bring your other knight, I'll chop it off. And you won't be able to checkmate him. So now you are in Karpov's shoes. Guys, last move of the game. My last question. It's not the last move of the game. Last question. What does white do here? Classy move. You're going to love it. Sushim says, knight e6, what about king e7? Just take the queen. No, free queen. Oh, guys, you are good. Oh, I like where Abhiraj Ratna is going. Well done, Abhiraj Ratna. And thanks all those who knew this move, who have not written, because it's beautiful. It's beautiful. The concept is beautiful. Rajendra Babu, Muttam Sethi says knight e6. But Rajendra Babu, if I take on e6, I want to take on f6, ef6, queen h7, king f8. Is it a mate? Queen h8, king e7, rook h7, king d8. बच गया ना? Doesn't mate. Abhishek Panchal says b4 works. Abhishek wants to go the other side. Oof. Abhishek, I did not think of this. Does that work, b4? I don't think so. b4 shouldn't work here. It just seems wrong. Check here. Suddenly you are under attack. I don't like it. I can take on d5 with my bishop. No, the right move, and there's the only move here. Let me see how many of you found it. Knight h5 is not the right move, but I will, it's a good try. Knight e6, not great. e5, Nihira call, Yashar, chess is fun, Soma Bho, Yash Mani Gupta, Tamal Ghosh, Ivar, Shashank Shukla, Roasted Apple, Tanmay Dikshit. Well done. If you guys didn't know this game and found e5, you are a genius. It is such an amazing move. You know, let's try to understand the depth of this move and how this happened. Now, firstly, here the move that all of you wanted to play was knight h5, and it's an interesting move, but the problem is that I take, right? So there's nothing much after that, but I thought what could be interesting is take here, take here, and now knight h5. And mainly what the problem is that now if you take gh5, I go rook g1 check and I mate you. If you play queen h5, then I take rook h5, and that endgame should be winning for white. What does black have here? What does black have here in this position? It's a very good move that kind of throws water on white's attacking plans. Yes, Somansh Narang, that's exactly what we are seeing here. Queen g5, Yashad, exactly. Nadim, Goblet Fire, yes. Eclipse, Manan Nath, Prabnoor Singh, Mohitesh, Queen g5 check, classy move. And if you take here, I take back, and now knight f6, I go king g7. You take here, I take here, and this endgame is equal. If you count the pawns, black has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. White has 5 pawns, so 2 pawns for the exchange, and I have this edge passer, so this is equal. So Karpov, just like us, calculated this line and then said to himself that, hey, what if after take, and if I go knight h5, there is no queen g5. Ooh, that would be epic. If I can block the queen, nothing like it. And so he played here the brilliant move e5. It's such a fantastic move, guys. It is so beautiful that now after take, I take, you take, and now the winning move here is, of course you know it, knight h5. And now there is no queen g5 check. Isn't this amazing? Isn't this such a deep thought that Karpov had in the position? By the way, to tell you guys that taking on f6, taking here, and taking on h7 never results in a mate, by the way, because black king is very safe on e7. So the right move is e5, and now after bishop d5 he has to take. Yeah, he cannot take d5, he cannot take with the knight because of queen h7 mate, so he had to take with the bishop. And now Karpov took on f6, threatening a mate. Threatening a mate on g7. Oh, by the way, one move which all of you said a lot was knight e6. Very interesting move, but after take, knight f6, ef6, queen h7, king f8. Here it's not easy to mate, because here, and I can win a pawn, but after this there is no mate. In fact, black wins. Black king ran away. So you know what is the winning move? What is the only drawing move here? I can't believe it, but it's actually b3. And the point is, I want to attack with my rook here, but then there is queen e1 mate, so I'm actually making a square for my king. And this is kind of drawish, this position. Crazy. But anyway, it doesn't win. Knight e6 doesn't win. So the right move here is e5. Ooh, time is up. Time is up. I will just add like 2 minutes more because we are coming to the end of the game. And then, so e5, he took on d5, ef6, ef6. And now he took here king f8. And after queen h8, Korchnoi resigned the game, because if he went king e7, what is now the finishing move, guys? White to play. It's not for points, but just the final moment. b3 never draws. Yeah, Adibat. Yeah, that position in the end. No, come on, just it's a simple move. No, Mohit chess. Why are you trying to be spectacular here? Just simple chess. Gurkirat, you are so late. Last move. Come on, guess. Syrian mood. What are you doing? Alpha Zero Depth. What are you doing? Sarva Jayan. What are you doing? Yash Mani Gupta. What are you doing? Guys, what is wrong with all of you? What is wrong with all of you? You know why I'm saying this? Look at this. Look at this. You guys were so good today. And after that, you all are making rookie one move. Which ends the game in one move. Special mention to all the people who said rookie one here. Shubdeep Das, Rajendra Babu, Satwik, Nihira, Syrian Abud, Alpha Zero, Sarva Jayan, Yashmani Gupta, Shubham Seth, Indumati. Is carelessness. Carelessness. When you come close to victory, you make this blunder. Okay, the right move is knight d5. Hitain, Bad Boys, Chess is Fun, Chess Walk, J.R. Ruben, Aradhya, Sid, Mahanti, Megha, and Eclipse. Be careful. Be careful. The game is going to end. Why should you hurry and make a blunder? So, start with knight d5 check. Now, if he goes king d7, you have knight f6 winning. If he goes king d8, you have queen f6 winning. So he must take the knight, and after this rookie one check now wins, because when the king moves you can win on e8. Okay, he can play queen e5, you can take it fe5, and now this is a trivial victory because the queen is just too active and wins the game. So that was the game between Karpov and Korchnoi. What a beautiful game that was. After queen h8 check, he resigned in this position, and it was amazing. Guys, did you like this game? Did you like overall? What did you learn in this? You can write it here. You can also write in the comment section. If someone can help me with the 10 timestamps of the 10 questions, the main questions that were asked, and even minor questions that were asked, if you could put in minor question 1, so on. I mean, that would be a big help. It really helps if you do that, but if you have time. Alpheus says, bye Sagar, have class. It was pleasure seeing this game. Thank you so much. Everyone says yes. Oh, I liked it. Don't be careless and blunder. Rook says Satvik. Okay. Hiten Malvi says that game was insane. Tanmay Dikshit says Dragon Love. Very nice. Please show Gary Kasparov game. Sure, I would do that next time, something related to it. Mega Patra says, I just joined, got a chance to answer only one, but liked it truly. Mega, you can check it later. It's a great game. You should know it. Mahanti Buka Patnam says blocking. So I'll just tell you the key moments to look out for in this thing. In the dragon, you usually castle on the opposite sides and you launch an attack with h4, h5. After here, it is very useful to sacrifice sometimes a pawn or two in order to open lines when your opposite side castled, because that really speeds up the attack. When you are playing for an attack, there are two approaches. One is to go for a fight where he hits you, you hit him. The other way is the Karpov strategy where you tie up his hands. And that is the way in which you play ND2 Karpovian style, defending c3, stopping him from sacrificing any time on c3. And again, what a beautiful prophylactic move this was, rook d3. Really loved it. And then starts the fireworks here. This is pure calculation with g5 takes, rook d5 takes, knight d5. And by the way, guys, there was never ever time to take on a2, because I would just take here and I would take here, and there is no mate here because my king comes up on d2 and is completely safe. And so rook e8, and then came the knight into the game, bishop c6, and he took e5. Was such a classy move. Beautiful, beautiful move. Once again, understanding opponent's ideas, that after take here, queen g5 is a great defense that Korchnoi had prepared, and so running over him with e5, and then eventually finishing with queen h8. So I mean, I'll try to do more episodes of classics because I really enjoy it, and I think you guys also enjoy it. It's and also I love doing it in the morning when there are around, like 300 400 people, so that you guys are writing the answers, I can follow it and so on. If I do it in the evening, and let's say if there are more than 1,000 people, sometimes it becomes very difficult to interact. But okay, I mean, I'm not complaining. If there are 1,000 in the morning, I would love it, more people learn it. But uh take care, guys, and I will see you all soon. And have a great day, and please do write in the comments whether you enjoyed this or not, and also if someone can help with the timestamps, would be great. Bye bye, see you.